Well, what did I decide? I decided that I'm going to go ahead and stick to my guns, storyboard the whole thing. So we are entering part two, and I'll go ahead and I expect probably forge ahead with some more storyboarding here shortly. In my other screen, one thing I do need to do is open the script. Otherwise, I'm going to be really at a disadvantage here. So, opening the script, and okay. So, what is going to happen? Well, you got this really wide shot of the village, which I kind of like. You know, you got some mountains in the background. The sun coming up over the horizon, although I think we used this shot once before. So the idea anyway is that here's the village, the castle, and up here on the bluff, or the ledge, or whatever you want to call it, is the place where Asher and Mel have their headquarters. And so it's an establishing shot where we are pushing in from this wide shot towards this monastery or whatever it is, and we hear Asher's voice, and he's in here pondering, wondering, what is that Golik up to? So we're going to take the same shot, cut wide. Good example of where I'm thinking all the time about production economies. If we can have this shot and then repurpose this exact pose in a jump cut, that's probably a good thing. Mel comes in, walks in with the laundry basket, sets it down, presents the clean garment to Asher. He washed it 7 times. And Asher just glances and then looks back at what he's reading, which makes Mel kind of, his hands drop here. He glances over, and by the way, I'm going to say, actually, let's make a correction right here. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to grab this, and I don't think it's framed that well. And this shot, he can be leaning a little bit, but yeah, that looks good. All right, and then again, same thing. We're going to probably wind up taking this shot and then again repurposing it back to this shot. So as long as things are changing and updating here and there, you know, you get that sense of the storytelling moving right along. So Mel sort of somewhat snarkily but good-naturedly says, it seems like you'd have that thing memorized by now. And Asher makes the point that he's not at all sure that the king is aware that Golik is related to Tianara's mother. Well, that relationship potentially gives Golik a claim to the throne. Ugh. Which I suspect is the entire point. Asher's no dummy. He knows what's going on, and Golik doesn't really put anything over on him. So, again, repurposing the same shot. Hey, I know. And Mel suggests that when they say, if anyone knows any reason why these two shouldn't get married, hey, you can just speak up. And Asher gets impatient. Mel, this is important. Okay, sorry. Again, if you notice, repurposing this shot, just mixing it up. And he says he's got to get a message to a confidant in the palace. And Mel, actually this should be in here, and I don't think I drew Mel the best ever, but let's go, who? And Asher says that's not important. But you just said it was important. Well, of course it's important. It's not important for you to know. In fact, the less you know, the better. There's a secret place. So he basically explains to him while he's... And I thought this was actually kind of a coup in terms of animation, because for this shot, I'll be able to just animate this. Just like that. I can just animate the feather moving. And I don't actually have to show a hand, you know, or heaven forbid, actually show the writing appearing on the page. Which you can do it, but why would you want to do all that extra work? This tells the story just fine. So there's a secret place he's going to be able to leave this letter. Mel is kind of initially hesitant, like, geez, Asher, I haven't even been able to get laundry right. You sure you shouldn't do it? And he's like, I cannot. Did you forget? Okay, so the problem is Asher's been banished from the palace, if you recall. So therefore, he can't get anywhere near that wedding, or Goluk would have him imprisoned for sure, right? So Mel gets this sort of sense of resolve and says, yeah, okay, I can do it. I'm depending on you, Melchizedek. And then what we do is we come back to the same shot that we started out at, but this time we're pulling out instead of in. And you hear Asher saying how essential it is that this letter not fall into the wrong hands. Now, the way I want to do the transition here is we're going to fade to black, but then when we go to this shot, it's going to be a sudden cut. Okay, so once it goes to black, there's going to be very bouncy, light music type, fun, happy music playing, and punctuating what Mel does. And I know this is a little bit hard to see, but okay, so what you have here is this would be like a storefront, you might say, in the town. Okay, and you've got these alleys between the buildings, and so you've got just a straight on view of basically a row of locations in the marketplace. Okay, so all this stuff in the foreground is just people walking, across. So these will be easy because all you really need to do is just animate. Whoops, sorry, on this machine I need to use my mouse for this. So all we have to do is animate that and just show them moving. That's it. Easy peasy. So the way I've got this mapped out is you see Mel actually break the third wall. So he is going to actually go like this and peek around the edge of the screen. Okay? Just for fun. And then tinkle, 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 he comes over here and quickly hides behind this wall in an alley. So to be clear, this is going to be dark in here because that's an alley between the two buildings. Okay? And then he's doing a sneak thing across this way until he gets about here. And when he gets here, the shopkeeper pops out, opens the door and steps out to enjoy the nice warm weather. And so at that point, Mel freezes and then he goes over to here, and he's hiding now in this alley. Okay? Pretty clear. I'm going to go ahead and hit the save button to save my work since I made a couple little changes. Okay, so now we're into some fairly rapid-fire storytelling. It looks like OpenTunes is going to want to think about, does it really want to save this scene, or does it not want to save this? The good news is the last couple days I haven't had any blow-ups with OpenTunes as long as I'm patient. I would actually give this as an OpenTunes tip. If you go to save your scene or save all and it seems like it's taking a long time, don't click the screen because it'll kind of go white, and if you keep clicking you will get a blow-up. But if you don't, if you just wait, generally you won't get the blow-up. It'll eventually save. It might take like 30 seconds. Doesn't usually. Usually it's pretty quick. And if you want to save time, I think I mentioned this the other day, is do save level. Just save your level, which effectively saves whatever you've actually changed. Okay, so now he's in this alley, and he peeks. So this is the framing. The black lines are the framing. And then he hears a voice say, "Oh, hey, Mel." And then his eyes pop open. He's like, okay. Turns around, and you see the silhouette of Luca and Monkey, and there's Mel looking around. Now, I will say I want to recap the storyboard here, so I'm not going to fix this framing yet, but I am going to write the word fix. This pose is pathetic. Okay, just saying. I'm going to go ahead and save the level. All right, next. So Mel turns around and says, hey, Luca, and then he gives him this kind of, I'm not up to anything strange look, and then his eyes go back to where he'd rather be putting his attention. And he kind of gets a deadpan look from Luca. And now, I just repeated this frame. These two poses aren't part of it, but basically he just peeks around the corner again. Okay, so now he's peeking around the corner, and we see Monkey sees something in Mel's back pocket. Okay, which is right here. And so then this blue indicates a smash zoom where we're going to smash in and see this purse, which is going to result in this sort of thing for Monkey. His eyes will go doe-eyed and then back down to pinpricks, if you will. And then Mel, using the same shot we used before, Mel pops out of the alley and starts moving this way. So that's, again, pretty economical because there's not a lot that has to be animated there in order to sell that. Monkey takes off, and Luca just chuckles. Okay, so this is going to be a fun one to animate. This is supposed to be kind of a Disney-style walk cycle that will just repeat. It'll loop and be shrinking slightly, so it looks like Mel's pulling away. And there's going to be a lamp post right here that Mel is approaching. Okay, so actually the perspective should probably be more like this. Something like that. Okay, so he's marching along, and obviously there's going to be a lot of work involved in putting in the marketplace in the background. This is going to be a challenging background shot, actually. But anyway, so Monkey goes from here in silhouette very quickly over and up the pole. Okay, and then what we have is this shot where Mel is moving this way across the screen, and Monkey's here, and then pops over to here, and you see his hand reach out to tap Mel on the shoulder. So here, this is a little complicated to read, but Mel stops when he feels the tap, then the hand gets withdrawn, and then as Mel turns his head to his right to see what's going on, Monkey disappears behind him. And then we cut to this close-up where Monkey reaches up into Mel's pocket, and out comes the purse. So now Mel is having a bit of a reaction. What the heck just happened? He turns around, says, "You?" I made a note that the lamppost should be clearly recognized because just as a prop, we want to make sure that we don't lose our perspective of what direction we're oriented and this sort of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of delineate Mel's hair a little better and his headband. So he turns around and he's like, "You," and Monkey is sitting there being very, very innocent. "Listen, beat it." He chirps and runs away, and the way I'm going to do this is he's moving so fast that you wouldn't notice the purse if you did in fact see it at all. And then Mel looks at him kind of deadpan, and then his eyes pop wide open, and then he turns around like this. Okay? And then you've got like a tap, tap, tap back here, because and you hear his voice. Oh no. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're taking the same shot that we had before where he turns around, and we're just going to run it in reverse. So he comes back around, and then this is a complicated shot. You've got him in silhouette, seeing Monkey way in the background, or way in the foreground. And so what we'll do is we'll have a smash zoom in close up to the Monkey, like this. Okay, so we're smash zooming to this shot, and then Monkey's gonna turn around and give him this look. And then to make the animation job easier, we're gonna smash zoom back out, and then from this initial wider shot, Monkey will scurry away. Okay? Hey, come back here. Little bit of a push in on that because we're actually transitioning to another scene. Okay? So now this scene, we're going to be, we've kind of got this, I don't know what you'd call it. It's a gated area where this wedding is going to take place. And so we've got a guard, and we've got somebody standing there, more or less shaded, interacting with the guard, and then there would appear to be a couple in silhouette in the close foreground that's coming, just moving into the shot. So they're going to be like this. Okay, so they'll get maybe to here, and then we'll be cutting to another shot. Okay, so then this shot happens where the guard welcomes this guy, and meanwhile you'll see the couple actually at the end of this shot you'll see them bounce back into frame, and then this noble that's been welcomed here says thank you. So now we're behind the guard, looking at the back of the guard. Probably that's obvious. So he says thank you, and he will pass in this way, and meanwhile this couple will come this way and approach the guard. And the guard stops them. Hey, you stop. Where are you going? Oh, we were coming to see the royal wedding. You're no landowner. Well, no, but nobles only. Off you go, riffraff. Okay, so that's a little bit of a commentary about what's going on sociopolitically, I suppose. So this is a complicated shot. What we're going to have is we're going to be looking slightly up. I want to be angled up so that I don't have to draw a ton of background context. But then we're going to push past the guard, so the red would be later in the shot. So the blue would be earlier, so we're pushing past the guard. So let me see. We see him like this, and we're going to go like this. So we're pushing past him, and what we see is this tent in the background. And then as we go, we're going to dissolve. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to actually put in a little bit. I'm feeling like I want just a little bit more here. So it's sort of, you can sort of see this tent action going down in perspective away from you. But as we push past him, it will go ahead and dissolve, and we're going to be dissolving to this interior, which, by the way, the basic composition is pretty much shamelessly pilfered from Ben-Hur. There's actually a really great scene in that movie that takes place in a tent in the ancient, Middle East, and so it's like, okay, well, that's a good design. So I just thought, let's just kind of do what works. So you see the soldier enters the tent. You see the flap open, and here's Tianara in the foreground sulking. And he pulls the tent open, and somebody passes in to the tent this way. And you actually still can see Tianara here in the background. Tianara. So this is Fala, the servant girl. And so she tells her she's going to be waiting here until they're called for the wedding. And she's just sulking. And she tells her, hey, have a date. They're delicious. And Tianara's like, I'm not hungry. Well, fine, but make sure you put your veil on before the prince comes. Why? Silly girl. And the idea is that he's not supposed to see her until after the wedding, and when she reveals what she looks like to him, he's going to be in for a very pleasant surprise. And so she says, you're very kind, Fala. I drew these blue lines in here to delineate that perhaps I will cut to close and actually use this same framing and create a close-up. So that's her saying, you're very kind. So now we cut to back here where we are actually on this bluff overlooking the rear of the tents. Okay? And who is sitting up on the bluff but Monkey? And Monkey, and his eyes go big again. And you see him jump over the bluff and disappear behind the ledge, and then appear right here, far down by the edge of the tent. Once he's down there, you can see the odors from inside the tent wafting out and into Monkey's nose, and then he cranes closer, so it goes from the red to the blue, obviously with Mel's purse in his hand, to see if there's maybe a way in to get at whatever goodies he's smelling. Well, now we cut to wide, and we see that Mel has appeared on the bluff. And he's got a bit of a dialogue here where he talks about, geez, I've got one mission, one time, it's my chance to prove myself, and what happens? Blah, 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 blah. So it's one of those. And he looks up and says, little help? And as you can see, there is no answer forthcoming. And all of a sudden, he hears brass instruments starting to play some sort of celebratory fanfare. And so that music begins to kick in, and he sort of leans in. He's like, I gotta get that purse back. So down here we see the monkey actually, it's kind of, again, it's a double shot with the red and the blue, where first the red is him pulling up the back of the tent and then slipping in. And I'm thinking the way I'm going to do it is he's going to slip in and let it drop, and it'll land on his tail, and then a moment later you'll see the tail just poop disappear, which would be kind of fun. Okay, so this is an this is a optional framing to perhaps put in between. So he'd lift it, you'd see this, and then he'd go ahead and slip inside. So we'll see. I don't think this shot is actually, it's not necessary, strictly speaking, but it could be a nice shot. Looks like we're getting some good rain pounding through. That's good. Is it raining? It's definitely, yeah, it's raining. Okay, so where are we at? So now let's look at the, now we're going to do some of this stuff in real time, right? The tent of preparation, so looking at my script. Okay. Okay, so actually, this shot we're going to repeat. Let's address the framing a little bit, because we're going to definitely need to have done that here in just a moment. So let's kind of go like this. Center things up just a little bit more. Okay, so in fact, I think I'm going to do it like this. Okay, why? Because now I can go like this, and let's go ahead and take monkey out of here. Oh, we've got selective on with our eraser. Okay, so alright, so that's falling back down. I'm going to go ahead and, I may be overdoing it, but I'm going to go ahead and use this effect again. Okay. Right, so now the purse is here with monkey's hand around it. Right, so he's happy. And why is he happy? Let's just say, if you notice in the earlier shot, there's sort of some sort of lounger with Tianara sitting on it. So right now we're behind looking up. And there was a table, and the table, so yeah, this is a real crapshoot whether this is going to work, but let's give it a crack. Okay, so now let's go back and look at the actual situation. Okay, so yeah, there was a bowl and then a bunch of fruit. Yeah, so that works. So we want to put these delicious looking fruit here, and we'll kind of indicate maybe the legs of the table as well. And the important thing is that we're going to yeah, this is stupid. Sorry about that. We're really fudging the perspective here in a big way, but that's okay. You know, what we want to do is we want to definitely feel like we're looking up. Let me see what the next thing that happens with okay, so Golik's going to enter the tent. And so I'm thinking, so this is the dates. How would we do this? This is actually going to be, I mean, this is essentially the ceiling situation, and so it would probably be good to have some sort of decorative drapery stuff. It's kind of, it's supposed to be fairly richly adorned, if you will. So, yeah, good looking rain out there. Yep, that's cool. Okay, so the idea here then would be to just let's do the obvious thing, and because it works, and let's do a smash zoom to the dates, and then I believe we want to cut back outside and get one more shot of Mel. Yeah, actually, let me double check this. Yeah. Okay, and by the way, yeah, that's a little crooked. Yeah, little crooked, right? Well, that's because I'm right-handed. No big deal. Okay, let's get Mel in here. And he says, that little rat. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're essentially going to do the same thing with Mel that we did with Monkey, which is to show a quick smattering of him scooting on down the bluff. So I'm going to kind of draw him like this so we at least get the indication, and I think if we kind of go like this, to sort of give some sense of the height here. In fact, you could really sell it by having some tent action down here in the background, right? Okay, so what we want to do is go back here. Basically, here's the technique I've been using. I've been going Control C, Control V, and then immediately hit the D key so that I make a duplicate of the frame that I want to reuse. Obviously, you could avoid that by simply using multiple levels. You know, of course, you could do that. Okay, but I would say this. I think this will work. Okay, so alright, actually I don't like that at all, so I'm going to leave that out for the moment. And let's go ahead and let's just take this one little step at a time. So we got Mel's up here, so let's get the back of his head. Okay. So this is the shot we just saw. We're going to flip that around. Okay, so the idea is that we're kind of looking down and seeing him. Yep, that'll work. Okay. Now what we want to do is well, if we want to really make the storytelling and the animation reasonably economical, I mean, to animate him now getting up and leaping over this bluff is a bit of a job. So I think what I should do is let's make another duplicate of this, and then we'll put in an intermediate frame that well, okay, that I don't know why it didn't make a duplicate, but no, that's not good. That means OpenTunes is gone stupid. That means OpenTunes has actually just botched some file management in all likelihood. That's not good. So let's save all. And probably what's going to happen now is if I click, yeah, see, it's going to give you the little waiting icon. So we don't have to make a duplicate. Obviously, we can just do a little cutting and pasting. So let's do it this way. Yeah, actually, yeah, let's do it this way. This is way more economical, so I don't know why I didn't think of this before. So we're going to go like this. I mean, we've got a nice shot here. Let's get our money's worth, right? Okay, so we'll paste this in here, and then all we need to do is, this is actually probably my biggest gripe about OpenTunes right now. You see the way I did a selection and it sort of has a V selected out of it. I'm thinking, I just can't imagine any scenario where that would actually be desired behavior. So I'm going to go like that. And like that. So we're going to see him leap like that. And then I'll see if I can get that wacky behavior again. Nope. Of course, now it's going to behave itself. V. Okay, so now let's get rid of Mel here. Okay. And I think what we should do is let's go ahead and, you know, it would be economical to do a bit of a squash and stretch thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, especially if it's in silhouette. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go like this. Because you could use the plastic tool really efficiently with something like this to just show him, and I got to look at OBS, so to show him kind of whoop, like that, you know. There's this shoulder action, so he's gonna drop out of sight, right? Okay, so he'll drop and just disappear, and then we'll see. Well, do we want to see him sneak over there, or do we want to just say, you know what? Let's just cut to him having arrived. Okay, so there's more than one way to skin that cat. Let me let's back up a little bit and look at how this is feeling. Okay, so he's looking closer. I'm going to put this line in here. Little rat. So he pops in. Okay, we need another shot here. So I'm going to go like this and make a dupe. And this shot will actually go right here. So let's use a different color so we can show what's changing. And there's one shot here where monkey, okay, yeah, let's reverse these. Okay, so after the smash zoom, he gets in, sees the goodies, throws away the purse. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of surgery here to make this storytelling a little clearer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to paste the other Mel back in, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a fill operation that is going to be only on lines, so you can see the movement, you know, that's going to take place. And that's going to be fairly quick. That's going to be over just a couple frames. Okay, so this shot maybe should go in a different place. So if we see him scurrying in, oh yeah, that's what I did wrong. This needs to come down here, and this shot, let's just go ahead and insert it here. Okay, so this will not be here for this shot. Well, okay, that was stupid. I didn't make a duplicate, so let me undo that. Bottom line is we're going from the red to the blue, and in the first time we see it, it's going to be the red, and he'll start scurrying in, and then we'll do this, which is be a little easier to animate. And then we'll show from behind the back of the tent falling down over his tail. And then maybe what we'll do is, it says the tail pops in. Maybe what happens is after the tail pops in, it immediately jumps to this, and we show his tail popping up with excitement because he sees this spread, smash zoom, throws away the purse, and meanwhile, Mel is flying into action. I feel like this is quite complete. I don't think we need to see him approach the tent. I feel like that's one step too many. We're overdoing. What we should do is go. Let's have a. Here's a tent peg. Okay, so now we're basically at a different angle, but we're still at the back of the tent. And let's have Mel reach. He's going to reach to lift the tent up. But then he's going to hear a voice. Okay, so he's sort of got these wristband things on. Yeah, wristband. B. Okay, so we'll kind of have him. Yeah, I think we can just cut right to this. If we wind up needing a transitional step, then we'll add it. But it seems to me that's probably not necessary. Okay. So now he reaches down here, but we're gonna hear. I'm actually adding a line that's not in the script. My dear Tianara. Okay, and now let's jump in here inside the tent, and let's put Golek. Excuse me. I know I'm making faces again. It's what we do. It's what we do. Alright, so let me see here. There's something about this I don't like. I don't like this. I like the drawing, but I don't like the staging. This is wrong. Let's go back here. And I think actually what I want is this. Okay, so I'm going to select all this. Control C. Let's go back here. Control V. Alright, so now let's get rid of the stuff that is not really germane to the shot we're working on. Alright. And I'm going to see if I can make a little crazy magic here by, whoops. I'm going to actually convert this into a rear view. Like so. And now we'll just go like that. So now we're actually looking at Fala from behind. Alright. So now we're going to have Golek here. Only thing I'm thinking is let's go ahead and do his head again. I want to give him a little bit more of little more intentional about what he's doing. So he's actually looking this way at her. Okay. Now, if you're like me, you're thinking, whoa, dude, you just made his. If he's at the entrance to the tent, then you kind of just made him like way too big. Okay, Golek is a short guy. That is true. Alright, so this is a bit of tricky business. I am taking the opportunity here to really say some things to the audience about Golek and how he rolls. So I'm going to really let this breathe a bit. Well, what do I mean by that? Alright, so what he's going to do is reach over here And I think that for my purposes, I'm not going to show him bending over to pick this up, but he's just going to be actually coming up with it. So that's fine. So in other words, let's go a little bit of a bend here. And what he's doing, he's just going to put his hand like this. And okay, that's a little too big, so I'm just smaller. Really just trying to work out the staging. This is a complicated scene, so I'm definitely working out the staging here in real time right here on YouTube. All right. Okay, this is not good. This is slightly large. Let's flip this around so we can get our characterization a little more under control. Okay, that's better. Alright, and then what we're going to do is, this is how I'm kind of doing the indicating animated sequences in some cases is by doing a fill operation and changing the color. Okay, in this case it's really not completely necessary because he really needs to have a different pose. So alright, so what he's going to do, you'll see here in a second. Okay, so now what we can do is we can take this, and what we're going to do is we're going to animate him making this motion. So this will, to be fair, this is actually going to wind up like there, and then the red head would be in the same position as this. But what he's doing is he's directing the bowl to follow, and he says, oops, refill this. Okay. Now I'm going to move really fast on this one because I can see it in my head right now. Okay, so there's the bowl. Okay, so his other hand is actually behind his back like this. She bows. She's taking this, so she kind of has a subservient bowing demeanor. Okay, and this is Tianara watching all this take place, and she's no longer leaning on her. She's no longer doing this. This is where she's actually going to start to become a little bit more strategic in terms of how she behaves. Okay, get it. So she says, right away, Lord. Okay, yeah. So this is a bit of work. You know, this is a bit of animation. But we can cut to potentially a different pose in order to make some aspects of the job a little easier. But you know, all in all, I will freely admit that I am approaching this. Nope, that's no good. Somewhat. What is the word? Not optimistically, but I guess uncompromisingly in terms of the. Okay, that's not right. I don't want to waste a bunch of time fighting with that at this moment, so I'm going to just say, let's just look at the perspective here. Instead of trying to get the perspective on the table right, let's get the stuff that's on the table feeling right. And then that will, and it did. It kind of suggests what we're wanting to do here, so. Alright, so right away, my lord. When I say I'm being aggressive or optimistic or whatever with this animation, I'm saying that, you know, to really tell this story as this particular frame shows it, there's a lot of animating going on. Now you could do a fair amount of it with the plastic tool, I would say. You know, for example, if you, it's informed by the editing. Okay, and actually I think I'll stop on these next two shots and just kind of make this point. This shot, all you really would have to do is draw a Golic one time. Okay, so as an animator, I've given myself a bunch of extra work right here that is arguably for no good reason. So critiquing this job, I'm going to actually take this and get rid of it. And actually just use this head. Why am I going to use two heads? Okay, the important thing is that we can break this guy up into two pieces. I want to get a little bit of his ceremonial costuming in here, by the way. And have him, really, I could literally just animate this hand and bowl as a single thing and then just glue it together. You know, it's pretty economical thing to animate. So therefore, I've kind of solved the problem but having a change in head orientation is pretty much quintessentially stupid. Okay, so there better be a really good reason from a storytelling standpoint that you're changing the orientation, because rotating someone's head is a very costly operation. You have to do it perfectly. So it's fine, you can do it if there's a good reason to, but you want to make sure there's a good reason to. Okay, that is my point. Up. Okay, I just hit the eraser tool, and OpenTunes decided it was going to be a little bit silly. So, like I said earlier, if that happens, just wait, because what I've been finding is it basically always resolves. And so, anyway. Okay, so he is leaning in slightly, giving her that. Admittedly, there's a little bit of a perspective change between this and Tianara, but I think for storytelling purposes in this case, that's probably okay. I am going to go ahead and I think it was better before. So actually, this is kind of important, because this back here would be the rear of the tent, and the monkey would actually be back here somewhere. Okay, So now, can we fix this a little bit? Can we make this a little better? I think so. Okay, that feels somewhat better. And so just trying to sell the perspective of it, and I could probably sell the perspective of it a little bit by having an arc to his belt, which helps to sell the idea, and her too, you know, that sells the idea that we are kind of looking down into the scene. This is probably, from a standpoint of consistent perspective, it's probably one of the worst jobs I've done on this storyboard, I would say. And in some cases, I would completely redraw it and just say, you know, why am I trying to fix, you know, why polish a turd, right? In this case, I think we're okay. I think we're actually in good shape. Okay, so refill this right away, Lord. I'm gonna try to take this even to one more level. I'm gonna lower her shoulder a little bit. Yep. And I'm gonna actually erase this. Pull this out a little more, and I think that worked. That just gave us the sense that we're looking down into the scene a little bit more. So not too shabby. Not too shabby. And with that, let's see what happens next. Sorry. While this is going on, Tianara notices Monkey. Okay, so this is, I'm actually going to go a little bit further here. Okay, giving her Mel eyes. Let's be careful here, Dave. don't forget what character you're drawing. That's better. That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. Okay, so we're looking from behind, and I think what we'll do is we'll just have Monkey pop up like he always does. And let's reverse this orientation. Whoops. Okay. So the way he always does it is he just sort of pops up. He pops into the screen out of nowhere. Okay, and then obviously here in the foreground, okay, got moving fast here and not talking clearly, but this often happens where you realize there's a little bit of a staging problem. If we're looking up, then the orientation of the bowl of dates would have to be like this. And you might even actually see the edge of the table, and then there's those other fruit right there. And then I think what we could do, let's just play with this for a minute. What we could do in the background is we could actually show Fala leaving the tent. So this would be really incidental action in the background. Again, not sure this will work. I mean, it might be one thing too many, and also, by the way, I feel like putting it that tight is probably ill-advised. And actually, okay, yeah, let's do it this way. Sorry about that, guys. I'm being a little sloppy. But this would actually be more like that if this was really happening, because obviously we're looking up into the scene. So this is kind of fun. This is actually going to be one of the fun things about this show, is doing the backgrounds. You know, you're going to see this ceiling activity up, you know, up top, and then there's different things hanging. Again, it's very ornately and decoratively furnished. Okay, so just for the record, there will be, I'm sure, a frame of Tianara's head looking away. So she's actually going to be, you know, you're gonna see the back of her head, and I'm gonna have maybe probably just, it probably could be done on, you know, this, you're probably talking about 3 drawings to go ahead and get the head turn in this case, which this one will be pretty easy to do. I've done Tianara a lot, and I seem to be having no issues with getting her characterization correct. So this is good. In the background, essentially you're gonna animate Fala leaving, okay, and that can be done mostly with just shrinking it and kind of moving it out. And again, well, I don't know what the again would be because I didn't say this before, but one aspect of that would be the fact that all you have to do is see her move a little bit, because we're going to be cutting to a different shot here in just a moment, and I think it's going to be something like this. It's going to be probably, okay, so Monkey has a tendency to be deadpan. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put Tianara in here in the foreground. I'm going to go ahead and show her ear. I don't know if that's strictly necessary. It might be better to not show her ear, but no big tragedy either way. So there's Tianara in the foreground, and she's going to be a little bit silhouetted. And my idea here on the monkey is you're looking down. Here's the table. Alright, so this is going to be some fun business. So we got the dates. We got the other fruit. Okay, so what's going to happen is he's going to reach out. This is all going to happen very, very fast. Okay, so you see what's going to happen. Monkey's going to go and put it in his mouth, and then immediately, so he grabs a date, then immediately back to deadpan. So it's almost like he's grabbing the snack and seeing if that's okay, you know, seeing if he can get away with it, kind of thing. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go boom, D, boom, pull this down here, come on, anytime here, Open Tunes, and how is this shot going to be different? She's going to wink. Okay. And monkeys. Whoops. I don't want him to be smiling. He's still deadpan. And I think the other eye should just be a dot. Sort of his Curious George type eyes. Okay. Let's zoom out here and see what we have. Now, in all reality, I probably should have reused this shot. Let's make a note of that. Probably reuse last shot. Okay, so a lot happens in a short period of time here. And you could obviously have him give a little wave. You know, whatever. I have to admit I'm having fun with the monkey character. Getting a lot of mileage out of this guy. Okay. Let me just look at the... Okay, so I'm actually going to do this again. Because, like I said, we're packing a lot of story with action and movement and stuff into a fairly tight space here. So for this shot, monkey would be... the orientation of his face would be back down again. And then the concept here... And by the way, she should have her little dot thing. Okay. It's a lot of business, isn't it? It's a lot of business in a fairly short space of time. But see, that's perfect. Okay, so in this shot, Fala's gone. And Golek is just standing there ominously in the... shadow. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to actually have the edge of the tent where she can see a potential means of escape. Okay, I think that's it. I like what's happening. Save our work. Should we recap what we've actually done here in this session? Maybe. It wouldn't be bad to do that. Let's let it finish saving. Don't want to be in too much of a hurry. And okay, so some of this stuff was clearly already done before we got here. TNR is sulking. Okay, so we had the monkey. Monkey smells something. Scurries down. Gets down by the tent. Can definitely smell something. It goes right into his nostrils, and then he gropes to see if maybe there's a means of entrance. Meanwhile, Mel shows up. He's really irritated. He rants and raves. Little help. And there's no help forthcoming. This seems to me to be the wrong shot here. Yeah. Why this shot is in here again, I'm not sure. So I'm going to delete that. Just because I don't want the confusion. Oh, I see why. Never mind. It was because I wanted a break before we go to this shot, so I'll give that a little thought later again. Monkey goes in. The tail gets covered and then pops in. He's in. He sees something he likes. Smash zoom. Throws away the purse. Mel's really irritated. See, wait a second. I think that... Let's just say for a moment, let's think about this. Okay, Mel shows up. Irritated, one mission, little help. He's deflated. That's 318. Okay, so yes, the monkey... okay, that's why that's there. The monkey hasn't gone into the tent yet. Okay, so he leans in, you little rat. Okay, this does make sense. Sorry, guys. Into the tent. Likes what he sees. And Mel now has to come up with a plan. So he moves into frame and will cut away quite quickly so that we can show this. He goes down here and he's about to go into the tent when he hears voices and realizes he better wait. So somewhere in here we need a shot of Mel pondering what he's hearing. So with that, I will end for today, and as you guys know, there will be more later.